can ask if there's something we can ask for the Rays to be better at is pitching, especially bullpen.
And 9 out of 10 times, we're not saying that. Usually it's the offense, but things have changed a little bit more. And I want to focus on that.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to player interviews. We've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Captain Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
Bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
We're here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this is our 7th season covering the Rays daily.
So grab your favorite Rays gear and settle in as we discuss the Rays finally beating the Athletics in the final game of a 3-game series, the looming bullpen concerns of the Rays, plus the unique, fun, entertaining combo of Jake Mangum and Chandler Simpson. A lot to discuss on today's program.
A lot to discuss, but first we got to tell you that this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Kevin, my friend, from a long, long time ago, I think I am not the only one who is going to ask you to, for the rest of the season, I'm not asking for years, even though I should.
Yeah.
I think me and some Locked On Race listeners think we should address the situation and ask you to not say that the Rays should, will, could be sweeping anybody. I don't care if it's the Rockies. I don't care if it's the Miami Marlins. I don't care if it's the co-rec softball team from 2012 that we were in at USF. I don't
Not even the Rockies. You can't give me the Rockies. I can't call sweep on the Rockies at home.
Nobody, baby. Nobody, because it didn't happen. You know,
right.
So first I wanted to, let everybody in on that do you
I should do like reverse psychology and say the Rays are going to get swept in every series, and then they will continue to win and ramp up against the competition.
Different. Because it ain't working, and the Athletics came out. It was a close series. Let's talk about it. It was a close series. The first 2 games, I mean, the first one they almost came back. Unfortunately, they didn't. The second one very close, and the third one was way closer than it needed to be, Kev. Because you come into the 9th with a 6-2 lead. I'm feeling good. It's Venezuelan Heritage Day. I'm at the ballpark. It's a late Father's Day celebration. And we were having a good time. And then Orzi and Uceta decided to give us a little bit of a high blood pressure that didn't need to happen. And it made me think, is the bullpen, do we have concerns about the bullpen? Because I know I do. And I know a lot of people on social media are, hey, we got Alex Faedo, we got Hunter Biggie, we got Manuel Rodriguez coming, and those are nice additions. But Hunter Biggie's coming from a baseball to the face.
Right.
Manuel Rodriguez is coming from an IL stint, and Faedo is coming from a long extended IL stint, and you don't really know what Alex Faedo is. You might like the stuff, you might like whatever the possibilities are, but you don't know the actual production. I feel like Race Nation is underestimating these bullpen concerns.
Yeah, and I would especially give attention to Uceta and what has happened to him night and day from last year to this year. And that just goes to show the volatility of relievers from one year to the next. I mean, we should honestly, I know that we give crap sometimes to Pete Fairbanks where, usually most of the time he winds up getting a save, but you get heartburn and heart pressure issues, blood pressure issues in the scenario in which he gets that save. Like he gets the first 2 outs quickly, then he walks a batter or hits a batter, or a guy gets a hit, maybe an RBI comes in, and you feel a little bit more comfortable when Pete Fairbanks is on the mound with a 3 or 4 run lead versus a 1-run lead. I'll just leave it like that. But Uceta, his ERA at 5.2 right now, and then pitching the 9th inning allows 4 hits. I mean, at this point, I'm ready to pull the plug and demote him and call up Joe Boyle. Like, I'm willing to do anything and everything to try to get Joe Boyle into a Rays uniform, like we discussed earlier this week.
And I understand that the if you're trying to see why they managed the bullpen that way with Orzi going a second inning and maybe Uceta for the ninth, sure, the bullpen is fatigued. Fine. Fairbanks pitched on Monday and Tuesday. He wasn't available for Wednesday. Fine. But isn't that just telling that there's who is the squad B of the bullpen? Who's the squad A of the bullpen right now?
Yeah.
Like, there's, you know, I just feel like as a Rays team, one of the biggest things that I'm looking for is defense. Can you defend the ball, right? Because you know very well Rays teams are not prolific at creating runs, but they can defend. And the second thing is pitching. So if the starters are doing their job, because they are, you gotta secure that bullpen. And it's July 3rd. Time to make that bullpen as close as you can, as firm as you can, so that starter, so you can shorten the game. And right now, I don't believe that the Rays have an actual shutdown bullpen. I think they just have a mid bullpen, just completely average. Because if you go through the some of these stats for the bullpen, they're 16th in WAR, they're 12th in ERA, they're 18th in FIP. They're 24th in innings pitched, which is good. They're getting rested. Home runs allowed, 11th. Ks, 16th. WHIP, 11th. I just feel like we can ask, if there's something we can ask for the Rays to be better at, is pitching, especially bullpen. Get better, and they should get better.
And 9 out of 10 times, we're not saying that. Usually it's the offense, the middle of the order. We need more pop. We need a enforcer, an intimidator in that lineup, which is why we go out and get Nelson Cruz a couple years ago at the deadline to make a push into the playoffs. But things have changed a little bit more, and I want to focus on that a little bit further. But first, we do need to tell the audience something very important that is next on the Locked On Rays podcast. Your team every day.
Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? I know Kevin and I have. You want to see your Rays, and you can do that by using Game Time, because you can save so much money on the tickets, and that extra money you save, you can splurge it on food, drinks, merch, whatever you want. You should know Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, and that makes it super easy to browse the app for an exciting upcoming MLB game. For example, the Athletics are coming. Why not see a game or two? Because the Rays will be playing a lot of away games. So don't wait today. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Welcome back to the Locked On Rays podcast. Thank you again for making us your first listen every day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Continuing on the bullpen concerns question mark for right now. Yeah, you outlined all the numbers, and to me, that pretty much signals middle of the pack, which, you know, you can pretty much live with. But I would say that if there is something to address and really shore up in the trade deadline, it would be going out and getting a high quality reliever. And I think the Rays have the inventory and the talent, maybe from the existing big league roster and or the minor league system, to get that quote unquote Nick Anderson for a late season push into the playoffs. And I think that's ultimately what you're going to need, because you don't know from Fido, you don't know what you're going to get from Hunter Biggie. Guys, you know, go through slumps in the bullpen, especially as we're going on second half road trip, basically. And the other consideration, and again, I think it pretty much all goes back to finding a way to get Joe Boyle on the major league roster. But we talked about it earlier this week, and the Rays have broadcasted this. I think they want to be a little bit more careful and conservative with the starting pitching innings for example, oh my gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. Drew Rasmussen. And, somebody's going to have to pick up the inning somewhere, and it's going to be the bullpen that is ultimately going to be taxed from that. So I really believe, and have faith and trust in the Rays that they have a game plan for, you may not be getting as much from the starters in the second half in terms of trying to position yourself and making sure those guys are as close to 100% as possible for a playoff push. So, you kind of alluded to it several weeks ago where, the question of the trade deadline, it's coming up. A couple weeks before we know it, the trade deadline is going to go and pass just like that. And, I think right now you need that relief arm that can supplant you.
And it could be for Drew specifically. We talked about the possibility of bringing Joe Boyle up and then piggybacking them. We talked about that last time we were on. How Yankee fans usually just like ask for every All-Star to be on their team. Like now it's like, oh, when is Paul Skeens going to be in the rotation? That kind of like,
which is very frustrating and annoying. Like it's only a matter of time before the Yankees can unload the Brinks truck and bring in a Paul Skeens or something of that ilk. You would think they'd be satisfied with Aaron Judge and Aaron Judge alone, which makes it that much sweeter when a guy like Juan Soto says, no, even though it is the Mets and, don't have necessarily a lot of love for the Mets, but I'd rather a Juan Soto go to the Mets. I'd rather somebody even go to the Dodgers before they go to the Yankees.
Well, that attitude, which is very annoying, I kind of want to have it as a Rays fan saying to my front office, like, dude, I'm expecting you to get us a reliever. And I'm expecting as a Rays fan, and this is like the spoiled Rays fan mind, I'm expecting you to get me a Nick Anderson. I'm expecting you to get me a Stevenson. I'm expecting you to get me a Benoit. Okay? I'm expecting as a Rays fan, because you've shown me time and time and time and time and time again that you're able to do that. Bleep. In fact, you have shown me that you can take a guy that sells bleeping solar panels and throws 88 and he can have a sub 250 ERA with you. Okay, so I am going to be that spoiled Rays fan and ask, you need to get us a bullpen arm, and you need to get us a bullpen arm that's going to make us feel secure. You're going to need to get us a bullpen arm that when you pair it with Fairbanks and Shane Boss, a Pepio, give us 6 innings, we don't even have to worry about it because we feel so good about the bullpen. That's the type of acquisition that I feel like Rays fans should not hope for, but really expect, because this team has now shown they're in it, not for the wild card, but they can actually fight for the division. So give them that extra push, and that extra push is making that bullpen a strength, not mid-level MLB production.
Yeah, I'm with you. And, it's pretty much been death taxes, one of the best bullpens in all of baseball. I mean, it wasn't that long ago where that was the calling card of the Rays of, hey, we have a stable of guys who throw 98 and they all do it from different arm angles, and they all have, unique offerings that can fool the opposition. I mean, even, small piece, but worth noting, a unique delivery and pitch movement of an Oliver Drake, for example. Yeah. So, it's so funny because we had so high expectations for Uceta, and he has just not delivered it for one reason or another. And I think it might be something where, in order to get right, you might have to get demoted for a period of time until you can solve the crisis and figure it out. And honestly, this might be why, I think the talent of the pitching staff allows them to go a little bit deeper into games, but maybe that's why the Rays are like, yeah, all right, Shane Boss, we'll bring you out for the 8th because we want to rest our bullpen, or we're not all that confident in the bullpen in a night in, night out basis. I mean, it used to be, you'd take out Blake Snell after, 5 innings. It was 5 and dive. And The narrative is changing now.
Now, and I want you to be as honest as you can with me, if Edwin Uceta were to be DFA'd, so he's in the same Chris Morel train of like,
Oh,
no
he does not
options,
have options. That's
got a
right.
DFA. Do you think Uceta would get picked up?
I think he probably would. I don't know who. I mean, my guess is maybe not a contender, but that's the thing with relievers is like they're not doing something right. They find a new home, they make one little adjustment, and then they're back to being great again. But I mean, I don't see Uceta necessarily at this juncture as, oh my gosh, he's the golden goose. We have to protect him at all costs. Like during every season, how many relievers do the Rays go through? I mean, again, you've picked up guys who are selling solar panels and had success. You've picked up guys that had, drug issues that had success. I mean, major injuries that have had success. So I'm not married to Edwin Uceta. I think there's other options that can be leveraged. And I do want to bring up a couple possible names.
Yeah.
And get your feeling on this. So I'm looking up ESPN's top 50 players to be traded at the deadline.
Okay.
They have Duran with the Twins, Clase with the Guardians, Bautista with the Orioles. They actually have Pete Fairbanks on here.
Yeah, probably.
So if you're trading Pete Fairbanks, I guess you might need to add 2 relievers if you're trying to save that money and make a switcheroo there. Ryan Helsley from St. Louis, Reed Detmers from the Angels. So, I mean, there's a lot of relievers that could theoretically be had or be available. Kyle Finnegan with the Nationals, Chris Martin with the Rangers. Phil Maton, I guess, might be drawing some interest with the Cardinals. I don't know if we want to take a flyer on him. Emilio Pagan, also former Ray, with the Reds. Shelby Miller, Dennis Santana, and Steven Matz. Those are some of the relievers that are of note.
They're of note. And I think, I mean, obviously the big names kind of entice you a little bit there, but I don't think Bautista is going anywhere within the AL East. I don't think the Orioles would do that to themselves. But I feel like with the Rays, you don't necessarily have to go for the well-known name for it to work out as a well-known name. Nick Anderson wasn't known, and he gives you a 41K to 2 walks ratio. I will forever remember that because it's an absurd ratio, 41 strikeouts and 2 walks. It's ridiculous what he did with the Rays in 2019. So I am not asking for the Clase, for example. Clase would be so amazing to have. But just the production. I don't care if it's an unknown guy, but get me a bullpen guy that works. And I know the Rays can do that because they've done it time and time again, and they need to do that push. And you said something about 1 or 2. Hey, if you've got 2, awesome. But Uceta, I think he has lived long enough off his 2024 production in 2025.
Yeah.
How much more? How much more do you need it? And Kevin Kelly has not particularly been fantastic either. I don't think Paul Gervais and Joe Rock are mainstays in the bullpen. And you don't know what you're going to get back from Manuel Rodriguez, Alex Faedo, and Hunter Biggie. So I do think you need to address this.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. All right, we have more to discuss, but first we have to tell the audience something very important that is next on the Locked On Rays podcast, your team every day. All right, let's tell you about Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades that is Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House, it is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 of the top brands, actually more than 400 of the top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Whether you're in California or Florida, they can deliver it. If you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk
to a real person. That's what we like nowadays, even with AI and all that stuff. Supply House, thousands of skilled professionals. They're already taking advantage, and now it is your turn. Go ahead, join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That is at supplyhouse.com.
All right, wrapping things up here on the Locked On Rays podcast. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. We appreciate it. We are, of course, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Ulises, you were at the game on Wednesday, and I see a new hat. So I'm guessing a good experience. The Rays got the W. It was a little bit more stressful than maybe what was needed. You would think having a 6-2 lead going into later innings, you'd be fine. You'd be able to handle and deliver that, but it was a little bit more stress-inducing than maybe what you bargained for. But I do think that, bullpen aside, highlighting on the positives, the offense came through in multiple ways between the power and the speed and handling things with runners in scoring position and 2-out RBIs, and then Pepio doing his job again. I know, hey, couple home runs, you can live with that. They weren't 2-run shots. They were the solo variety, but 9 strikeouts in 6 innings pitched. He again is quietly putting together a very, very impressive season.
Yeah, he did. And he didn't really have his command. So it was, it started off slow. You give up 2 solo home runs. You're like, oh man, this is going to be a long one. But it was that spark that Mangum has with the inside the park home run. It just gave you a different feeling. And, I did some digging, Kev, with Mangum and Simpson back to back, because we've talked about this since like 2 months ago when Mangum had been on the IL and Simpson had been called. We talked about, oh man, you got to get these guys in the lineup. And then we're like, actually, you got to get them back to back. Now, Kev, in this game, they were hitting back to back, I believe 5th and 6th or 6th and 7th, but they were back to back.
It's kind of the bottom third of the order. Let me see. I've got it. Mangum was 6th and Simpson was 7th.
Exactly, right? So they're back to back. And then I checked, out of every lineup that has been done this year, only 2 times have they been back to back. And it has happened in 2 of the last 5 games, June 28th and July 2nd. I think this needs to keep happening. And I'm feeling like the front office is seeing this the way that we're talking about it. You got to get these 2 dynamic players back to back. And I know it might seem a little bit counterproductive, like Klosky said to us, that it was what was the word he used?
Redundancy, I think.
Yeah, redundancy. They were redundant. I disagree. I think you have to have these guys together in the lineup, and the way that I would particularly like to see this: number 1, Mangum at the top of the lineup, number 1, Simpson in the 9th spot. Why? I think that gets us a very high OBP guy at 351 in Jake Mangum to start the game, which is really nice for the Camaneros, the Yandy Diaz, the Jonathan Arandas to come behind them, Brandon Lau. And then Simpson in the 9th spot allows you to turn over the lineup, and you're also not having somebody with power behind Simpson where he could not run. By having Jake Mangum be the guy behind Simpson, you can give Chandler free reign to take any and all bases that he wants, which is exactly what you want from Chandler Simpson. I feel like this would net such a positive in the Rays lineup, because imagine this. You got Simpson, you got Mangum. If these 2 guys get on base, guess who's behind them? Jonathan Aranda, the guy that should have been an all-star. You got Brendan Lau, a guy who could have been an all-star. You got Yandy Diaz, a guy who could have been an all-star. You got Junior Caminero, a guy who could have been an all-star. Like, these 2 guys in back-to-back, I think would fuel the heck out of this lineup. And I really hope that because we have seen it in two out of their last 5 games, their front office is thinking exactly along the same lines, and we can see this more often going forward.
No, I love that idea. And a couple things with that. I think that really puts the opposing defense and the starting pitcher or whoever's on the mound on their toes, because you have 2 guys contact oriented. They can put the ball in play. They're not really going to swing and miss that much. I mean, they're going to make you work to get them out one way or the other. And I think putting Simpson number 9, assuming he would leverage and take advantage of this, you get to see how the other 8 guys in front of you adjust and handle to the pitcher and maybe gain and garner some intel, which I think is important for a rookie to have those conversations with, Jake Mangum, he strikes out or gets a hit, whatever he does, communicate that with the young kid so he can be mindful. And then when that is encouraged and repeated that, hey, watch out for the fastball inside, or he's going to try to jam you with this, whatever the scouting report or the game plan or what the other 8 hitters are seeing, hand to glove, I think it just helps for the development process and helping him have a better of understanding how he can attack and go up against whoever's on the mound. So I think that's a great idea. And, then it makes it really tough for the rest of the lineup, with the rest of the lineup after Simpson and Mangum. It's right now, we can call it a murderer's row that you have to go through. So.
You can take your pick between B. Lau, Jonathan Aranda, Yandy Diaz, Junior Caminero. Those 4 guys could be behind these guys who get on base. And by the way, I know batting average isn't loved anymore, but it is a stat, and we need to talk about it. Chandler Simpson hits 296. You have a guy who hits 296 at the bottom of the lineup. Yes, give me that. And by the way, his on-base percentage, not too bad at 329.
Yeah,
creeping up. So then you would have I feel like the havoc that they would cause together in back-to-back. It's
maybe we have 2 back-to-back inside the park home runs.
That's
if there's 2 guys that can make it happen, it would be those 2.
Yes. I feel like this is hopefully something that, because we have seen it 2 out of their last 5 games, front office is thinking along the same lines as us, and hopefully we can get to see that going forward, man.
Yeah. Just hire us and bring us on board and pay us hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we'll be good to go. On that note, thank you for making us your very first listen every day. We appreciate it. For your next listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, all season long, local analysis on a national scale. You can find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on the YouTubes or wherever you listen to those podcasts.